Okay, guys, well, I've been doing some research and I've made some interesting connections that I wanted to share. Now, for you guys that have just subbed me because you have found my videos in regards to reporting on world events and situations that are occurring across our insane planet at the moment, you may not really be interested in this information. This is mainly directed at the subscribers that follow my channel due to my research into ancient knowledge. And so I welcome anyone who wants to just sit in on this video and listen to this information to, join in and listen in. But, you may not have an understanding for it because it is quite complex. However, if it does actually have your interest and it is resonating to you and you want to look further into it, then I would recommend you have a look at the mystery teachings of ancient Egypt. And basically what I've tried to do is bring together the story of who we are, because that's what's been taken from us, guys. I mean, this is really what has been hidden from us, the story of who we are. And this is why they want to basically try and psyop us with this alien agenda, because they want us believing that the greatness lays outside of who we are, when in fact the greatness is within ourselves, because we are all individual aspects of the Creator experiencing itself on the physical plane. So, as I said, if this information interests you, then please, you're welcome to listen in. If not, that's fine. You can just, listen into my reports of world events. But I'm just going to do this video and bring this information the best way I can and try and do it in a way that connects easily for you. And it's really going to be directed at people that have watched the mystery teachings. So I'm going to bring the information as though you already know this information that I'm bringing to you, and other aspects of this information as well from the mystery teachings. So, for those of you that are students of the mystery teachings, then I think you may find this rather interesting. Now, I have known, as we all have when we've looked into the knowledge that's left for us, that there are a group of divine ones, and this is who they call the messiahs, and this is why in every civilization we hear these stories of the messiahs. And really what we're hearing is the story of the evolution of the souls, the creation of the souls into a new cycle, the evolution of that, and then the ending of the cycle before the rebirth begins. I mean, this is what happens. Our physical containers experience birth and death, and so does our ethereal self. We experience a rebirth of our ethereal self where we rejoin our Creator. It's like, as I have explained before, the rivers going back to the ocean, along the tributaries back to the ocean, and we're all going back to join source. This is what ascension is, rapture, and all of these archetypes that get thrown around, and it's all based on the shedding of the physical container to rejoin with source and then be rebirthed again onto a new physical plane, a purified land of milk and honey, all of the other terminologies that we hear these ancient cultures speak of when they talk of these times of higher consciousness. Now, we know that all creation is based on the Fibonacci sequence, everything. Everything is based on the Fibonacci sequence. It's all to do with the, blueprint of the universe, which is that sequence in the golden mean. It's all related to geometry, sacred geometry. And so this is what, of course, we have to imagine, that when creation was manifest on the physical plane from the Creator, then this also happened in the Fibonacci sequence, because everything is a fractal within a fractal. So even though the Fibonacci sequence is showing us the creation of the soul from 0, splitting into 1, 1, male, female, to be manifest onto the physical plane, there's also the creation of source that is closest to the creator, and then from that is manifest onto the physical plane, all other creation springs forth from. And so at certain times in the cycle, these divine ones are illuminated once again. This is why we see scripture say that all that is hidden will be revealed, the veil will be dropped, apocalypse, the unveiling, the uncovering, because this is when we're all seen in our true form. The ether returns, the physical becomes less solid, and we are for a time in a more ethereal existence on this realm. And this is when the illumination of our divinity is at its absolute potential. It is God playing himself out at his most illuminated on the physical plane. And once again, when I say God in the male form, it is because I'm relating this as in we are told Odin, Osiris, we're given this male aspect. And so I just continue to bring this information through in the way that it is relayed to us from ancient knowledge. However, that's not to say that there's not a goddess aspect that's of the macrocosm equal to Osiris, Orion, that exists out there. And my thoughts are it's probably Sirius in some way, shape or form, because if you look at the sun and the moon, then really the macrocosm could be Orion and Sirius. But anyway, I don't want to go off on a tangent down there, guys. That's just something that I have been looking at in the last few weeks in regards to, the relationship between Sirius and Orion, because it is there. And so this is where I'm wondering whether, this is God's wife, this is God's female aspect, because we always have to look at the macrocosm of everything, guys. That's how it works. It's a fractal universe. Everything's fractal. And so we know that there's a group of divine ones. And from these divine ones springs forth all other creation. This is also Son of Man, Son of God. This is why Jesus is the Son of Man, because Jesus represents, as does Mary Magdalene, because the church, the religious establishments have left out the feminine aspect of the divine souls. They represent the closest to source onto the physical plane. But there is a group. So that's when I realized that from the messiahs are then the 12 divine ones. And I had known that there was a number, and I thought it may be 8 because there are the immortal 8, the 8 immortals in the, Chinese mythology. But from what I'm looking at, if we do look at sacred geometry, and even though 8 is relayed in sacred geometry as well in the sequence, in the Fibonacci sequence, so is 13. Now this made me think of the 13 tribes of Israel, and I came across this research last year actually when I was looking into the Torah, and a lot of this conflict between Iran and Syria, Iraq and Israel and the US, and stolen artifacts and stolen pieces of the Torah. And then I actually started looking into the 13 tribes of Israel because this information kept crossing my path. And now I realized that I just didn't have all the information back then, and that's why it wasn't really coming together for me. So I know, that we have to base this number of, divine beings, divine source of beings on a sacred geometry number. And so I see that we have the 13 tribes of Israel. Now, they've changed it in the New Testament and they've brought it down to the 12 tribes of Israel, but it still makes sense because they don't count number 13. 13 is actually like Omega. It's like the 011, and it's what the Creator then springs forth the other creation, and it's almost like it goes down in layers. And so then we have the 12 divine ones from the first two messiahs, and then from then we spring the next divine ones, who are probably called the saints. So we've got the apostles, then we've got the saints. I mean, I'm just speculating on what they may be calling these groups, though I do know the apostles are related to the divine group. As for the saints and, all of that, I can't say yet. I haven't looked that far into it, but I'm trying to understand the sequence, and it would be based on Fibonacci. And I do know now, looking at the information that I'm finding and putting together, that it looks like it's 13, but it's 12 and the messiahs, and I'll call them the messiahs or the divine ones or the divine twin souls, and then we have 12 others. Now, even though I'm saying 12, 13, we actually have to double that number, because each number is representing a twin soul joined. Okay, so one soul, gender, reunited. And so what we're seeing is actually the 12 tribes are each represented by a male and a female soul. And then the 13th tribe being the source, the messiahs, that are created closest to source, okay? Because it all comes from being created closest and from source, okay? And furthest from source is what we can see now when we see these empty souls, okay? It's because they don't remember who they are. So even though it's easy to be really angry at how stupid they are, you have to remember they really don't have any idea of who they are. They're so far removed from their divinity, because we've had this huge population explosion in the 1950s, and it's obviously all by their agenda. Don't worry about that. They've wanted to dilute. Don't worry. I mean, this is what World War II was all about, guys. They were looking for the divine ones, okay, the Aryans, the blood. This is what all the bloodlines are. The fake bloodlines, the fake kings and queens, are all these people that took power in lower consciousness, okay? These are the nemesis of the divine ones. These are the negative aspect of the divine ones that play out on the physical plane, that take control in the physical plane in lower consciousness. But I'm not sure on all those bloodlines and where that goes, and I'm not even looking there. I'm just trying and make sense of how many divine ones there are, the group number, and what we can try and find with this information. So it does seem like there's 12. But as I said, I still think that this 13 is because there are the two main, messiahs that are closest to God's source. And then from then you've got, the other 12, and then it goes layered and layered and layered further out in the Fibonacci sequence, away from source, away from divinity. And that's not to say that people can't work through their heart to find their divinity. It's just your memory is diluted, okay, of who you are. As well as obviously, some other aspects. But I think this is where the saints do play into this ability that the universe gives all creation to achieve the highest potential of who they are. But this is just how creation plays out when it's first manifest onto the physical plane. Now, it gets even more than just the 12 tribes, because there are 13 tribes of each race. And this is where we can start going into the diagrams a bit, okay? Now, the reason that I think that we've got 13 tribes of each race is because I've heard it in the Hopi prophecy and the Native American prophecy, where they say the Creator sent the 4 different races in the different directions, north, east, west, south, and told them to go and settle. And we also see this in Malkuth, okay? The different races represented. I think it's red, yellow, black, and white. And then from each of those different races, then you get the sub kind of species, where you get the different whites, the different Europeans that just have slight differences in their physical characteristics. And then you do that with, the Asians and so on, the Indians and the Negroes. But in every culture, there is a divine group. Okay, I'm saying 13 because I'm going with the Fibonacci code, but the information after the Old Testament says 12. Okay, but there is another reason that I do think it's 13, and I want to show you why in a minute. But I just wanted to show you that we can find this division into 4 once again, plus north, south, east, west. I mean, it's there everywhere. Foundation 4, I mean, it fits. And so all of this arguing where I see these people argue about if the ancient Egyptians were black or white. I mean, seriously, guys, if you're still at that level of consciousness where you can't get past over the skin color of what the ancient Egyptians were, I really don't think you're ready for this information, because guys, it's every one of us, okay? Every single race has this group of divine souls. That's why the information is relayed through all these different cultures differently. It's the same story of the soul evolution of the divine ones, okay? Now, these stories in the Bible are not historical events of historical places, of historical people that actually existed. They're just a storyboard of events that unfold in the process of the evolution of the soul, because it's all an evolution of the soul, guys. It goes in a cycle from higher consciousness to lower consciousness. And in higher consciousness, we remember our divinity, remember who we are, and in lower consciousness, we don't. And so this is why I'm thinking that it is the 13 in each group of 4 different races that are divine ones. They are going to illuminate when this cosmic light returns. There's some ability for the Creator to, basically, there's some way that we experience the Creator's influence more profoundly in times of the cycle than we do in others. And this is when the ether returns, and with it returns God consciousness. But not only that, it happens on every level. Because we have to remember, we've got the 3 different planes of causation, guys. So it happens on every level. Everything's a fractal. We always have to view everything in a fractal. Everything. So, what's in is out. What's up is down. I mean, it's always a fractal, and it's always within itself, unfolding out, and never-endingly, infinitely, and into itself again. See, it's not this starting point linear forward. And if that's the mindset you're in, you're really not going to be able to accept this information and understand it. So you need to move into this more, cyclical understanding of events and of consciousness and of humanity. So at these times of higher consciousness, we are the gods that walk the earth. This group of illuminated ones, these divine ones, there's 13. They are the ones that then illuminate others, and together we create all of these great civilizations, okay, that we can't understand. And of course the psyop is, guys, and has been since the 50s, well actually 47 when Roswell started as well. I mean, it's been since World War II, okay? You can trace it back to World War II. It's been to take us away from who we are. World War II, what do you think it was about? As I said, guys, they were looking for the Aryans. They were looking for the divine blood, okay? They used Hitler to do it, and they used the Jews. Now, the Israelites and the Jews are not an actual culture that live in any part of the world. They're actually these groups of souls. These divine ones that are first birthed and created onto the physical plane, and then from where all life springs forth. We're kind of birthed through the divine ones, okay? So imagine that all souls are kind of birthed through other souls as well, ethereally. I'm talking about souls. Okay, but of course, as I said, it all plays out in the physical as well. But mainly, we have to start seeing ourselves as ethereal, and we have to start viewing this information on an ethereal level. And we have to start also viewing this information with a cyclical understanding of events and perceiving that's how everything in the universe runs. I mean, this is Ezekiel's wheel, guys. This is the the Mayan calendar, which is the wheel as well, which plays into this. Okay, which shows us that there's a connection to, again, the Fibonacci sequence and to the cycles of the universe that also make me think it's the 13 tribes. And as I said, it's the 2 messiahs, so that works out to be 8 messiahs Okay, and so then that works into the immortal 8 of the Asian information anyway. And then from then there is the other 12. And so we see this in the 13 tribes of Israel in the Old Testament before they quickly changed all that. And let's not forget what, went into and out of the New Testament in the Bible, and everything that we're looking at now was decided on by the Antichrist, okay, that are currently in charge of the spirituality of this planet. And it's very sad to see the outcome of that. So they are not there to let us know who we are. That is why they keep the information locked underneath for themselves. Locked under the Vatican. They know what it is. They know who they are. They know this esoteric information is important. But anyone else that talks about it is crazy or is, a freak. But they follow all this information to, the very last detail. Let me tell you. And I mean, this is who the Freemasons, this is what the Freemasons also have and covered, is this information. And I'm talking high up Freemasons too, okay? Now, let's get into why I think that it's, the 13 as well. Some other clues that it's the 13 that are in each of these individual groups of illuminated ones or divine ones. I'll call them the divine souls, and then I'm going to call the two main souls of each race the messiahs. Okay, that's the way I'm going to explain it. So, first of all, we can even see it on the key. Now, this is, all what we based the sacred geometry on is what the ancient Egyptians had encoded into the pendant here. And we even see it here at 13 and 33. So we've got 13 tribes of 33. Okay, now these are the numbers that we get when we use the sacred geometry on the pendant, and then we line it up to the chakras, and the third eye chakra and the crown chakra equal 13 and 33. So this is all dealing in the ethereal, the soul, okay, but we're also seeing 13 of 33. Now, you guys that know the Mystery Teaching series know that each 3 is actually denoting a soul, because each soul is a trinity. Okay, so for those of you that are new, I'll just give you a quick rundown, all right? Now, as I said, it makes it easier if you just go and watch the Mystery Teachings. But basically, this is telling you that this is the soul. Each soul has the Father, okay, the God, and a part of the other soul within them. So every soul carries a part of their twin soul within them, vice versa. So each soul is actually a trinity, because you have the Creator as part of your soul, as well as you, as well as your twin soul. Okay, this is also yin-yang, showing yin-yang as well, where each soul is shown as a part of the other, as well as the whole making up yin-yang, being the creator part of the soul as well, shown in that symbolism. So, now you basically know what the Trinity is. You know that it's 1, 2, 3 is denoting one soul, okay, and so we're seeing the two souls denoted here as, each soul, the twin souls, and then 13 as the 13 tribes that are basically created, from source onto the physical plane, to be manifested onto the physical plane. Now, some other clues that we know that this could be the case with the 13 is we've got, the painting Last Supper. Leonardo da Vinci's painting The Last Supper. Now, we see 13. Now, there's been a lot of speculation about The Last Supper, and I'm not saying that previous, kind of interpretations are incorrect, because what I've got now with doing all my research is an understanding that they layered so much symbolism upon symbolism into these pieces that there are many aspects that can be drawn from these. So yes, you can draw the astrological signs and Jesus being the sun, but my problem with astrotheology is I don't know how to apply it to me ethereally. I don't know how knowing that information helps me on an ethereal level. It doesn't give me an understanding for my ethereal self. And this is the kind of information that we really do need to seek to give us an understanding of our true identity, which is an ethereal light being. Now, astrotheology is great, matching it up, each, each house to a part of your body. And that's just one layer of all of this information. But once again, what it's doing, guys, is really focusing on the physical. And we need to start moving away to, from the physical now and start understanding the ethereal part of who we are, the part that they've hidden. Because this is the part that we're uncovering, because it's the part that they've actually taken away. Okay, and as I say, these guys all know about it. They all fully believe this stuff. They know it, but then they make us believe something differently. They push us into a belief that there is no God, a belief that it is all about just us, a belief that we can create just our own reality and never be accountable for everything or anything, and you can just live life doing what you want and it doesn't matter. And they want all of that. They want people to be empty, hollow souls, because when this cosmic influence returns, this creator influence permeates again onto the physical plane, there will be a way to measure the consciousness and the goodness of each soul. I don't know how that happens. I'm just telling you what the information and the knowledge is showing me from all of the ancient cultures that actually talk about, this in different ways. It's all relayed there. And as I said, it's in the mystery teachings, and we can see that this is being relayed to us. This is the information that is being shown to us. And so I think what we're seeing here is, once again, Leonardo, he knew. Okay, he totally knew. Leonardo da Vinci totally was connected and knew. Okay, not only did he have a connection to his ethereal self, and his divinity spoke to him through his creativity. And see, this is what we've got to understand too, guys, that the reason that we see a lot of this symbolism in their paintings is because they're actually using their divinity when they're creating these paintings. So what they're actually doing is connecting directly to source, and they're speaking directly through their divinity and source. And this is why we find these connections with these paintings that are just mind-blowing, okay, from people like Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, okay, and there are others out there too, all right? But these guys were so connected. Not only did they have, they were privy to information, but they also were just connected to their divinity because they understood who they were because of the information they had access to. So they were able to tap into this. And so this is what I think we're seeing here. He is showing that Jesus is actually symbolic for the Messiahs. And then we have the 12 tribes shown thereafter with the other apostles, but they've put Mary Magdalene in the place of one, so they still have her connected here, showing the Messiah. And we can even see the Trinity shown here in the triangle. Look at this. I mean, this is what I mean. We've got it here. But as I said, these are multi-layered symbols, but we can see it here again and again. It's like they used all of the information at their disposal, guys. They really did. Now, just before I go, because this is a long video, but as I said, guys, I just wanted to get this info out. And as I, really, it's just for me to keep a track of what I'm finding, because as I go, down the path of looking at more information, then things that didn't make sense before then start to make sense. So it's always good to have a record of this. So I'm just bringing you guys along for, my discovery here and what I'm finding. And I'm kind of, putting it out there as it's coming to me. So it might not be perfect. I've got to come back and redefine it and find more information. But I'm just kind of wanting to show you what I'm seeing here and bring it to your attention too. So you guys can then maybe see what you are then finding out there as well. So one last thing is I wanted to say before I finish off the video is just that we always look at this Vitruvian man as though it was a man, and it's actually a man and a woman, okay? It's a man and a woman, and we see them both facing the front. The man is in front and the woman is behind. And you can even see he's actually put different... Now, I had my little black thing up here that I wanted to show you how to... Sorry, guys. This is why I don't like using this program. It's a bit rough here, a bit raw. Okay. So just check this out, right? Look at the face difference. The left, we know the left is normally signifying and symbolic of the male and the physical and the sun and solidity, physicality, okay? And so look, we've got this side of the face, and look at his eye, it's light, okay? And then look at this side of the face. Different. And the eye is darker. Okay, he's quite clearly shown. Even look at the neckline. Okay, different. He's clearly showing there are two different features here. It's not the same person. And then when you come down, the other clue I found when I looked at it was a hip. Women only have hips. Okay, like that, rounded hips, not men. He knew about the twin souls. Don't you worry about that. He knew. They all do. They all know about the twin souls. And the divine ones as well. They know, and that's what they were looking for, as I said, in World War II. That's what they're looking for now and waiting for. They know they're returning. But, you know, not everyone's ready for this information, guys. It's pretty out there, I know. I mean, believe me, I know what I'm looking at myself and how it sounds when you know, looking at it all. It is. It's pretty mind-blowing, but I think it's because, you know, we've been really conditioned and programmed to believe about ourselves one way when all along we were someone else, you know, and I think that now the more we start digging into it, the more we start discovering the truth of who we are. And as I said, this is what all this alien psyop is about, guys. Don't get sucked into it. Seriously, there's no evidence to show that any of these civilizations were built by aliens, okay? And even the History Channel is owned by Disney, all right? It's fallacy, all right? It's there to keep you looking outside of yourself. Your greatness is within. You are divine. You know, seek thyself, guys. That's what it's about. That's what we're here for. That's what we're here to learn. Let your heart illuminate the path of finding out who you are. All right, guys. Well, I really will leave it here now. And I hope you found that interesting. I will post the 12 tribes of Israel. There is more information in here that I'll pull up and go through in another video. But for now, I'll just leave it there. And as always, guys, peace out.